Joining me right now, Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell of Michigan. Congresswoman, thanks for coming in.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. I want to get your reaction to that news. Do you think he's being subpoenaed by Senate Intel? Do you think the House, either Oversight or House Intel, should subpoena Michael Cohen to make him testify as well?
I think that we've got two very able chairmen. I think subpoena is something that you use carefully and cautiously, but I think it's very important to know what he has to tell us. Clearly, we've heard in the last 24, 48 hours about his family being threatened, his being fearful of testifying. We've got to know what the truth is, and I think our chairman needs to make sure we get the truth.
Yeah, maybe even after he reports for prison, which we will definitely find out soon enough. I want to also ask you about the mess, about the shutdown. You introduced a measure yesterday to allow federal workers to get unemployment benefits while they're working and not being paid. It's also co-sponsored by a Republican, I want to make sure I point out. Yes. Even if your measure would pass the House and the Senate, do you think the president would sign it?
I don't know what he would do, but I certainly hope that he would. He has public servants. They're not Republicans or Democrats. They are good people that serve us in so many different ways, that are working. They have been working for 33 days. Our governor wrote a letter with several other governors because these people are desperate. I'm hearing these stories every single day. I mean, there are people willing to take a bullet for the protectee, trying to explain to the children why they have to worry about where they're going to get food from. A mother who's an essential employee that's losing her child's place in daycare because she can't afford to pay for it, so she's working the midnight shift at Denny's. We need to help these people out. It is our responsibility to help them, and when they're worried in all of these catch-22s, from credit ratings to how they're going to pay their bills, you got to worry about whether they're able to do their job either. So I would hope that the president, someplace in that heart of his, has some compassion and would be willing to help people.
With that in mind, something's got to give. And I say this every day, but I have to keep saying it. Something's got to give at some point. Do you think you could agree to money for border security if it includes some money for the wall, if it did get the government open again, did get these people back to work and being paid?
What I think is that we got to reopen the government. We shouldn't be negotiating while the government's closed. Let's reopen it, and we need to have strong border security. There may be places where some kind of border protection may be appropriate, but it also needs to be more customer border patrols, technology, drones. Let's get in the room and have that discussion. But let's stop holding these public servants hostages. At this point, we got to reopen the government and then go have that discussion. And I think the president would be surprised at what Democrats will sit and negotiate, and it would be, $5 million for border security. We all want to keep our nation safe. It's how do we do that and best accomplish it.
I don't know if you've heard these sound bites from these interviews. I do want to play them for you because we're talking about federal workers not getting back to work. We've heard from former Homeland Security secretaries about what their workers are having to do to take charitable donations to put food on the table. I want to play for you with the Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross, as well as the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump. Both have said about federal workers going without pay.
There are reports that there are some federal workers who are going to homeless shelters to get food.
Well, I know they are, and I don't really quite understand why, because, as I mentioned before, the obligations that they would undertake, say a borrowing from a bank or a credit union, are in effect federally guaranteed. So the 30 days of pay that some people will be out, there's no real reason why they shouldn't be able to get a loan against it. And we've seen a number of ads from financial institutions doing that.
Listen, it's not fair to you, and we all get that, but this is so much bigger than any one person. It is a little bit of pain, but it's going to be for the future of our country.
What's your reaction to that?
Okay, so when I first heard it, I was like, well, let them eat cake. Hello, France. It's outrageous. These are my constituents. I mean, many of us have constituents. When I could go home, the first thing I do was meet with them. They are in tears. They are looking at catch-22 situations where they can't even figure out how to get help. These people, these billionaires that are in all of these cabinet positions, have no idea how many people are living paycheck to paycheck. They're good, hard-working people. A TSA agent is making $28,000 at a beginning salary. I bet Wilbur Ross spends $28,000 on a meal for a weekend sometimes when he takes his wine and everything. Let's get with the real world. Let's understand what these really good working men and women are living on, struggling with, and let's understand that they haven't been paid in 33 days, and we've got a moral responsibility to do something for these public servants who are working for us.
Congresswoman, I have interviewed you many times, and you're mad.
I am mad because I've got an FBI agent who will kill me for even, I shouldn't say that word, who, wrote me 2 weeks ago. And that person, I'm not going to give it away, is so angry. And they write me every day. And I'm desperate. I want to say, I do get it. We're trying to do something. These people are desperate, and they're right to be as angry and desperate as they are.
With this passion that I hear from you, do you think this is so much wrapped up in politics? Do you give a little to get a lot, which is to get these people back to work?
Look, I don't think compromise is a dirty word. I have said that many times. I do think that we're being held hostage over reopening the government. I think we've got to reopen the government. That should happen. That should be there. And then we can get in the room and let's get in regular order, reopen Homeland Security for 3 weeks, know that we've got that deadline. I think the country would be pleasantly surprised to see where Republicans and Democrats can agree on how we need a number of effective measures to keep this nation safe, period.
Congresswoman, I know this is quite a turn, but you've spoken about this in the past, and I do want to get your reaction. You've talked about in the past about sexual harassment that you have faced. I don't know if you've been able to hear it, but Republican Senator Joni Ernst, she's speaking out now about a very painful past of abuse and even being raped in college. And this is before she wanted to speak about it. She was kind of forced to talk about it once it was made public. Let me play for you what she says in reaction to all of this coming out and having to speak about this now.
How do you believe, will this change what you're doing moving forward, and how has this changed you personally?
What I want to remind everybody is that I'm still the same person as I was a week ago. The only difference is that you know more about me now than you did a week ago.
What does this mean to you, hearing from her like this?
Frankly, it makes me want to cry. You know, I've had different incidences, sexual harassment, and the kinds of things that she talked about that happened to her when she was younger. I have to this day never talked about the incidences or who they were, and I know my life would be forever changed if I told the whole story, and that's what people don't understand. I've talked a little more about living in a home where there's been domestic violence, but people don't understand how it scars you for life. People tried to blackmail me when they found some records 20 years ago when people didn't understand. I had never intended to really talk about it the first time I did. And to be really honest with you, there are days I can't. People will want me to talk about it, and I can't. My sister says that if we can keep one person from going through what we did, we need to do it. But you don't understand. My heart goes out to her, and I will be with Joni Ernst wherever she is, trying to stick up for sexual assault survivors and domestic violence survivors, because you do survive. You can go on. It doesn't define you, but it never stops hurting.
Oh. That breaks my heart. But thank you for your strength.
Too.
Yeah. Congresswoman,
Okay,
thanks for coming on.
We're both going to start crying.
Yeah, I know. We're done.
I know.